Despite having been nothing less than a model citizen during the first 4 years of his NFL career, Dak Prescott has found himself positioned as one of the most polarizing players in the NFL. To be honest, it's next to impossible to find a football fan with a neutral opinion on the Dallas signal caller. For a guy that came into the league as an underdog and was not taken until the 4th round of his respective draft, the whole situation is actually pretty bizarre.
How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre!
Generally speaking, NFL fans, and really all sports fans, can find some common ground when it comes to these underdog stories. You know, the middle-of-the-road prospects and the late-round draft picks, who, through hard work and determination, find a way to evolve into stars at the professional level. It's part of the human condition to love these kind of uplifting stories. The unheralded prospect that goes on to greatness at the pinnacle of his profession, regardless of any obstacles put in front of him. Think about it, the phenomenon has surely had a sizable impact on the mystique of Tom Brady. Sure, Brady's accomplishments would speak for themselves either way, but you can't tell me that the Michigan product falling to the 6th round of the draft doesn't make his story that much more compelling. It isn't like Dak Prescott came completely out of nowhere though. After all, he was a 2-time All-SEC quarterback at Mississippi State, and he certainly proved to be an explosive weapon for those offenses. While not the traditional dual-threat quarterback in the way that you think of a Lamar Jackson or a Michael Vick, where they are looking to make plays on the ground, Dak could still make a legit impact on the game with his legs. At Mississippi State, he did run for double-digit touchdowns 3 consecutive seasons and came within just 14 yards of a 1,000-yard season in 2014, and his passing skill set was probably more refined than either Jackson or Vick. So it is safe to say that Prescott wasn't just some scrub that lucked into being selected by an NFL team, but his stock was pretty low heading into the 2016 draft. Not only did the draft experts have concerns regarding whether or not his playstyle would translate well to the NFL level, but Dak also had to overcome the stink that had started to develop around SEC quarterbacks in recent years. And of course, there was also his infamous Panama Beach incident, when he got jumped by a stranger who snuck up on him and hit him over the head with a bottle while on a spring break trip. I'm not sure why this was seen as such a negative. After all, Prescott was the victim in the situation, and it's not like he was doing anything crazy. He was just a college kid on spring break in Panama City. Could you argue that you want your franchise quarterback to have the foresight not to put himself in such a situation? Maybe, but even that's a bit of a stretch if you ask me. Either way, Prescott's draft stock plummeted ahead of the draft, and he ended up falling all the way to the 135th pick, where the Dallas Cowboys opportunistically scooped him up as a possible replacement down the road for their longtime starter, Tony Romo, who was starting to show signs that he was on the decline. I don't think that they ever thought for a second that Dak Prescott would emerge as their starting quarterback during his rookie season, or even the following year really. After all, he was considered to be a raw talent, was completely unproven at the NFL level, and the Cowboys hadn't started a rookie QB since Quincy Carter all the way back in 2001. But once Romo went down and Dak maintained the preseason success he had, carrying it with him into the regular season, there was no questioning that he was their quarterback going forward. And in the time since, he's found ways to prove the Cowboys right time and time again. He's coming off of his best season in 2019, when he threw for just under 5,000 yards and notched 30 touchdowns to just 11 interceptions. Strangely, during the 2019 season, which was far and away his best statistically, he somehow did not earn any NFL accolades. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler and a former NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and if you ask me, the smart money is on Prescott adding to his trophy case sooner rather than later. Dak's success in Dallas was bigger than himself too. Not only has he sprouted a new hope amongst the fan base that was increasingly concerned about the future of the quarterback position with Romo's lack of durability and increasing age, but even as a young starter, he has been able to lead the Cowboys to the postseason twice, which is a hell of a lot more than some of the other quarterbacks taken ahead of him can say. As much as people love to trash Dak and talk about his limitations, when you look at the 7 quarterbacks who were taken ahead of Dak in the 2016 draft, it ought to make you pause a little bit if you are anti-Dak. Each of the quarterbacks taken before Prescott have left their respective franchises with a varying level of buyer's remorse. That's not to say none of the quarterbacks have had success yet, or that they might not go on to have better careers than Prescott, but if you ask me, thus far, he is the leader in the clubhouse, and it's not particularly close. Anyway, let's take a look back at the 7 QBs that were taken before Prescott back in 2016, in the order that they were taken, and discuss what they've done since and where they are today. We didn't have to wait long for the first quarterback to get taken off the board that year, as the Los Angeles Rams made the move to trade up to the number 1 spot and take Jared Goff, the 6'4" California boy who played his college ball at the nearby California Berkeley. Goff was your typical fly up the draft board right before the draft kind of guy. He didn't have a ton of nationally acclaimed success during college, college, but he did fit the mold as a prototypical NFL quarterback. And to be honest, he impressed a lot of scouts both at the combine and at his pro day. His actual NFL career itself has been a little bit up and down, but it's impossible to knock a two-time Pro Bowler who made it to the Super Bowl within 4 years of entering the league. Even so, it's just hard to get the vision of rookie year Jared Goff out of my mind. Granted, he was struggling through Jeff Fisher's antiquated offensive system and whatnot, so I am tempted to give him a pass, but good lord was he brutal. So much so that it makes it hard to discern whether or not his turnaround was his own doing, or if it was by a product of the offensive prowess that his second head coach Sean McVay brought to the team when he arrived in 2017. Jared did regress a little bit after the Rams made their Super Bowl run in 2018 though, so it'll be interesting to see how the rest of his career unfolds, because so far, he's the only quarterback from this class that has accomplished as much as Prescott. It's just unclear how much credit he deserves for it. This second quarterback was taken number 2 overall, right after Goff, and at first, Carson Wentz looked like he's going to be a runaway steal of the draft. Even as the second overall pick, Philadelphia relied heavily on Wentz during his rookie season, and he attempted the second most passes for a rookie in league history, missing the mark of 627 that Andrew Luck set back in 2012 by just 20 attempts. Although, he did show a bit of propensity for giving the ball away, as he threw 14 interceptions and fumbled 14 times. Wentz impressed many of the small school doubters that scoffed at the notion that an FCS product could excel at quarterback in the NFL. And in 2017, it looked like he was really about to take it to another level. Speculation started to spread that he might even be an early season MVP candidate, a notion that shockingly became more and more believable as the season went on. That is, until he suffered a torn ACL in Week 14. Which would sideline him for the rest of the season. Through those first 13 games, however, Wentz accumulated 3,296 passing yards, 33 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions, with 60.2 completion percentage and a 101.9 quarterback rating. That was good enough to earn a Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors, but sadly missing those last few games cost him the MVP race. And then he had to watch his 11-2 Eagles go on to win the Super Bowl without him, behind an epic stretch from backup quarterback Nick Foles. In the time since, the excitement around Wentz has teetered out a bit. There have been constant rumors that his teammates like Foles better, and his production has never really returned to that 2017 level, although he did start to show signs towards the end of the 2019 season. Either way, I'm gonna need to see a lot more from Wentz in Philly if he wants to catch up to Prescott. After Wentz though, it really starts to get hairy for all the quarterback-starved general managers around the league who thought better than to take Dak Prescott. Particularly John Elway in Denver, who, in his never-ending quest to satiate his massive ego by finding the next, well, John Elway, traded up to get Paxton Lynch, the 6'7" quarterback out of Memphis. Wait, a 6'7" quarterback goes to Denver and flames out after a couple of uneventful seasons. I swear I've heard this story before, haven't I? I'm looking at you, Rocket Ship. Anyway, Elway's latest masterpiece was one of the worst first-round draft picks we've seen in recent memory. He played just 5 games in the NFL and looked pretty damn lost on the gridiron every time they trotted him out there. After 2 insanely uninspiring seasons in Denver, the Broncos finally parted ways with Paxton, who has bounced around a couple of practice squads over the past couple of seasons. Most recently making an appearance on the active roster for the Steelers in October of 2019, when Mason Rudolph suffered an injury. All things considered, Lynch was probably the most egregious pick on this list. But not too far behind him is the former Penn State Nittany Lion Christian Hackenberg, who the New York Jets inexplicably took with the 51st overall pick in the draft. Hackenberg had a nice year in 2013 for Penn State, but failed to progress even a little bit during his final 2 seasons in college. So it was pretty surprising to see the Jets take him that high in the draft. Hackenberg never even attempted a single pass in the NFL, and his most recent professional football appearance came in the AAF, which tells you all you need to know about Christian Hackenberg. He struggled in his AAF debut, too, completing just 10 of 23 passes for 87 yards and an interception before being pulled in the 4th quarter as his team was shut out by the Birmingham Iron at 26-0. From a second-round pick to being benched in an AAF game just a few short years later. Yikes. There wasn't another quarterback taken until the 3rd round, when the Patriots took Jacoby Brissett, who was proven to be a solid NFL quarterback in his own right. They ended up shipping him out after 1 season, selling high on his impressive stretch as he actually got a couple of starts when both Brady and the second stringer at the time, Jimmy Garoppolo, were unavailable. Brissett has proven to be at the very least an excellent backup, as he put together 2 great seasons in Indy. But it looks like he'll have to take a back seat to Phillip Rivers for at least one season, as they just brought in the vet this offseason. After Brissett, it starts to get hairy again. The Browns took the offensively underwhelming Cody Kessler out of USC, who played just 2 seasons in Cleveland before bouncing around the league, finally landing in New England where he served as the 3rd stringer in 2019. 7 picks later, with the 2nd pick in the 4th round, the Raiders took Connor Cook out of Michigan State, who is best known for a brutal playoff appearance back in 2016 when Oakland was down to their 3rd stringer. After bouncing around a couple of practice squads, he landed in the XFL, where he was subsequently beat out for the starting job by PJ Walker, despite being the 2nd overall pick in the draft. Needless to say, the Cowboys were pretty fortunate to have waited all the way until the 4th round to take Prescott, as they got a pretty special talent for a low price, and passed up on quite a few lemons along the way. When it's finally all said and done, which quarterback from the 2016 draft class do you think will have the best career? Join us in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.